What is a show control system and how does it work? Well, Disneyland is one of the best examples that I can give of this. Their animatronics are timed, positioned, and programmed in such a way that allows the guests to view them in a specific way, in a way that Disney wants you to view them in. Watching operators and control panels as a kid at these large theme parks has made me curious about how these attractions are actually operated. Disney has ride control systems, called PLCs or programmable logic controllers, but BeauHaunt doesn't have ride vehicles like these large theme park attractions, but what we do have are props and animatronics. When designing a show control system, I didn't just want to be able to press a button and have an audio file play or have a prop move. I wanted control over what the guests feel and see, the timing of some of the props, how the props interact with the guests, and various other things. This system needed to communicate with multiple computers, know which computers are online and offline, trigger the correct sequence based on which guests are going through, monitor the attraction, most importantly fail in an emergency, and be reliable. This is Behind the BeauHaunt Episode 2, the show control system. When I first built these animatronics, the pirates originally ran on a loop, similar to the idea of Pirates of the Caribbean, where they don't get independently triggered. All the pirates had one computer, one audio source, and they all had one servo board. Once inside the haunt though, guests experienced these pirates at different times and different ways, which called for the need for independent control of each of these pirates. And the solution to this was to give each pirate its own computer. And I actually made a separate video about this. If you're interested, you can go check out on my channel. But now each pirate can run independently and it can be individually triggered, which made the whole process of a guest going through the attraction a lot more smooth. More computers though means that it's harder to control. I wanted control over which routine, when it plays, and how each of the guests experience that prop, which called for the need for centralized control. BeauHaunt is obviously much simpler than a large theme park attraction like Pirates of the Caribbean, but I'm solving the same basic problem. I need centralized control in overseeing all of the props and everything that's interworking inside of the attraction. Now, I wanted something that felt like a real, authentic attraction ride control panel. And I remember as a little kid, my parents bought me this little box that they made off Amazon with these little like $5 push buttons, and I loved it as a kid, but I would always go to the amusement parks and be like, I want that push button. I want the one that they're using on the ride. And I eventually figured out that they're called Allen Bradley illuminated push buttons, these ones right here. And it changed my life because I went on eBay and I bought all the cheapest ones that I could find, and I shocked myself a few times because if you don't know, the lights actually use 120 volt lights. Heads up, there are different models that use 5 volts and 120 volts. Don't buy the 120 volt ones. But yeah, it was super nice that I got to finally figure out, what I'd been seeing in these attractions. Which actually makes sense because Allen Bradley is a very common like industrial factory brand, and it makes sense because these things need to be durable because how many times that they get pressed every single day, and the fact that they're running industrial equipment like a roller coaster. Anyways, real attractions use ride vehicles, like I've said before, but BeauHaunt controls props, and so I kind of took the industry standard and adapted them to fit my needs. Alright, so this is a close-up of the panel that I've made and constructed for BeauHaunt. As you can see, it's not perfect, but it's definitely something that I tried to recreate from something like a major attraction at Disneyland. This is one of the button labels that I made. I had to custom 3D print these on my Bamboo lab. One of the hardest things that I had to do was finding enough the layer lines to where I could see the text but then have the top be black, because as you can see, it started out white and then we changed color on the top so you could see the text a little bit easier. So that took a few trial and errors, but I'm going to walk you through the controls and what they mean. So the first thing is going to be our key power. This is going to turn the panel on and off, and it's basically going to determine whether anything's active or anything's not active. These are our four props: Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, and Delta. These are the 4 props that we can manually control, and the different illuminations, which I'll show you when I turn it on, mean different things. This is going to be our E-stop. When it's engaged, nothing's going to be happening, and all of the props are going to be put into a stop mode. When it's deactivated, you're going to have to reset the whole system. This is our work lights. This was actually a project in its own because it communicates to a Bluetooth switch that you put on a light switch. It has a little servo motor, and it goes back and forth and triggers the light to turn on and off, which was actually kind of fun to program. So now that that is there, we can wirelessly turn on our lights in the garage, which is where our haunt is housed, and then turn them off again based on what the button press is saying. Next is going to be capture, which is otherwise known as pause. It basically just puts the attraction on a hold for a little bit, and then you can recycle it into one of our show modes over here. We have 2 different show modes. We have a trick and a treat. Trick is going to be things with like scares, which is going to be our Delta and Charlie props. This is for the average person who wants to experience the haunt at its full potential. Or we have something like treat, which is just for little kids, and so these 2 props will be disabled, and then the other ones will all be active because those aren't scary. The last 2 buttons are going to be cycle and ambient. Cycle goes between our 2 modes, which is manual and show control mode. So our show control mode is going between trick or treat. This is the mode that we're normally going to be in, and it runs kind of autonomously. Then when we cycle into our manual mode, we can trigger each of the props independently, cue them, but depending on what's currently playing, or we can override it and play them on top of it. And then our ambient mode is just going to be a different show mode between the trick or treats. It's basically just going to have each of the props be in their deactivated state. They have still music playing, they still have lights, it's just none of the action is going to be going, so none of the lights, none of the fog, none of the air, things like that. They won't be talking, but they'll still be active, maybe slightly moving, things like that. But yeah, that's the control panel I did, and I'm going to show you how it works now. And what's really nice about using ESP32s is they're great at a lot of things. One of those things being emulating keyboard presses. And that's how a lot of our software is used as a way to trigger the routines that we need to be played. So let's say that I press my capture button. That's then going to send a signal to this ESP32, which is then going to communicate to all the other ESP32s in the entire haunt, saying, hey, this button was pressed. You need to send a keyboard signal to your computer. Say it was like Alt-S. And so it'll send the command Alt-S to the software, which is Helmsman, and then it'll stop all of our props. Then it's going to go backwards, and it's going to say, hey, all the computers are going to say, hey, I sent this ESP32 command at a certain time. Then this ESP30 is going to be like, cool, and then it's going to start, and then it's going to turn on this light saying, hey, it's enabled. Same thing when it gets disabled. I'm going to press it again. The light's going to go off, and the whole system is going to repeat. And then this is the display that I made for the ride operator to see everything that's going on. I'm going to explain this in a few minutes when I turn everything on, but I just wanted to, it'll go through a few of the system checks and stuff when it's turned on, which is actually really important as a part of the reliability aspect of this control panel, because I didn't just want it to light up and flash. I wanted to actually check through the systems and see if everything's turned on. Okay, so next is to go underneath and see what it looks like. I promise it looks scary, but it's really not that scary. There's a lot of wires and it looks kind of messy, but it's not too bad. So each of the buttons can goes to 2 different pins on the ESP32. One side handles the illuminated light underneath, and then one side handles the button presses. And so we have relays down here, which handle the light sequences on each of the buttons, and so each relay is going to its own light. And then each of the buttons also goes to a pin on the ESP32. There's more buttons than there are pins on this ESP32, so I actually had an extension board, which kind of sucks, but it wasn't too hard to add. But yeah, that's pretty much it for wiring underneath here. A lot of the work I was actually done coding this, because there's a lot of errors, as you can imagine, that can happen, especially when programming one of these things in like an Arduino IDE. So we're going to go ahead and close that up, and then now we're going to turn the panel on. Okay, so I went ahead and turned everything on, and I made sure to turn off the overhead lights over here so you can go ahead and see the illuminated push buttons. So as you can see right now, there's an ESP32 connected inside of this display. So it's actually kind of nice because I can just code this and then code a separate ESP32 rather than having an own ESP32 handle a board and then connecting to everything else. So they're just separate units. So when I turn it on, you're going to see that it's going to recognize it and it's going to start loading the BeauHaunt OS. Touch to enable show control display, so it just wants to make sure that I'm here. This isn't doing anything, it's just saying that it has power. So I'm going to enable the show control, and then it's going to go through and it's going to test all the different lights. So it's going to cycle. Once it's done its check, it's going to give me a little notification, and then it's going to go through and it's going to do the system connection check. And so those are all the different ESP32s and devices that I have throughout the haunt that need to be connected in order for it to be a full show. So it's going to say, give me a warning, and it's going to say low show readiness. Only 1 of 9 systems are reporting online, which is about 11%. I'm going to say you can recheck it if I connect more, or I'm going to say continue anyways. So continue anyways. So now this puts me in my show mode. This is like the home page. It's going to give me all of my status as an operator. It's going to tell me which mode I'm in or which modes can be selected. As you can see right now, none of the modes are selected because they're flashing, so they're able to be pressed. If I wanted to select a mode, let's say treat or trick, it's going to say that these are all active, but I'm not going to be able to press them. So if I press on one of them, it's not going to do anything. These are just status indicators as of now because I'm in the show mode. If a thing were to be triggered or it were to be playing, one of these lights would go solid and then it would turn off. Off means that it's in like a cooldown mode. On means that it's playing, and flashing means that it's ready to be played. So I go ahead and exit the trick mode by just pressing it again. Then it should stop. Same thing with the treat mode, except one of these or 2 of these aren't going to be enabled. Capture is going to put everything on pause. That means that everything's just stopped for now, so I can't press anything else. And then it's going to give me an error if I do that. I'm just going to say resume show either ways. So we can turn off our treat. If we want to turn on our work lights, obviously we can do that. And I'm pretty sure it should turn off lights. Didn't do that. It's okay. Because it's not connected. And then we can go into our e-stop. E-stop is engaged. It's going to be, okay, I acknowledge that the e-stop is engaged. I know that nothing's going to happen, and I'm going to have to reset the whole system if I want that to work. Pretty simple, and it's designed to be modular so that I can add things as I go, right? It's not like it's one set board and I have to connect everything to this board. I can always just add ESP32s. One of the main things that was hard was actually controlling this entire thing. If you want, you can go, I'll show you, go through the panel. You can actually control each and every one of the buttons from here if this panel doesn't work. So like if I wanted to do a capture, I can put the capture on and it'll display over here. I can also turn that off and then it'll go back into its regular mode. Layout, you can see kind of a basic layout of our haunt. You can see each of the rooms and each of the props and which sensors have been triggered and which sensors haven't once I add those ESP32s into the system. Then you have the status. You can see 4 of our props are here, and you can see simulate sensor. So it's going to say, hey, I have a sensor except we weren't in one of the modes. So let's say if I was in the treat mode, I want to simulate the delta sensor. You can see that it went solid, so that it's playing, and then in about 20 seconds it's going to turn off and then go into its cooldown. So for Bravo, I could simulate its sensor, then it's going to say, hey, I'm playing, someone was here, so the operator knows, and then after that it's going to go into its cooldown. Let's go ahead and reset this. And then in our system, we can go to our system tab, and it's just going to show us all of the ESP32s that are on and offline. As you can see right now, I have one that's offline for our button panel, and then our house lights is offline. That's why we weren't able to control our house lights from here. So I'm going to have to go double check that. But as of now, the key is on, so we can just say, hey, I'm going to disable it, and then we have the status light, and then show control disabled. And here's all the code that you need to make something like this work. Thanks for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this. If you want to learn more, feel free to reach out, check out my website, and I'll make sure to post some links in the description for stuff like the code and things that I bought. Again, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe and stay tuned because there's so much more awesome content coming out from Behind the BeauHaunt. See you in the next one.